Good morning, everyone. This is Gail Dudley with your news in motion. Today is Tuesday. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, November the 16th, 2021. All I need you all to do is come on in the room, whether you are tuning in live by audio or by video. I'm just so glad that you decided to spend a portion of your day with me, and I'm that excited about it. So come on in the room, people. Come on in the room. I'm excited to see all of you on today. So come on in the room, y'all. Come on in the room. I see you coming in here. So glad you decided to hang out with me for a little while today. Come on in the room. Let me know who's in here. I see the numbers. I see the numbers, but let me know who's in here. I see you, Kimberly Graves. I see you, Hester. I see you, Latrice Jones. I see you, Jeffrey Allen James. How are you? Jeffrey, I'll be text messaging you or inboxing you later on today. So, good morning or afternoon or evening to all of you. I'm just so excited you decided to spend a portion of your day with me, whether you're watching it live or by audio or by replay. I'm just glad you're here. Good morning, Kenny Stanley. Kenny, once again, you knocked it out the park yesterday with the new End Zone with Kenny Stanley. Thank you for agreeing to serve this platform with me. People are talking about it. So, again, I say thank you. Uh, Good morning, Rosanna Bivens. Good morning, Deborah Johnson. Good morning. Good morning, Kim Edmondson. Good morning, Lori Wallace. Good morning to all of you. Y'all, it's a great day. It's a great day to be alive. It's a great day to be seen. It's a great day to be able to speak to you. It's just an overall great day. I have an amazing guest who's going to be coming on with me later on today. I met him a little over a year ago. And stayed in contact with him. So I cannot wait till you hear from him today. Make sure you share this, whether you're listening to audio, call somebody up and say, hey, check this out. Let them know what platform you're on, whether that's iHeart or Amazon Music or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever platform, TuneIn or Stitcher, or if you're on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook. We're streaming to all those platforms and we're just excited about it. Good morning, Adrian. Good morning. Good morning, Marian. To you, good morning or afternoon or evening if you're watching by replay or if you're in another country. I just want to say thanks again for allowing me to hang out with you. I have a question this morning. I have a question for you this morning. Are you ready for the holidays? Whatever that looks like today, because it was different the past year. So just let me know. Put in the chat if you're ready. And if you're ready, what you're doing to prepare and how did you get to this place of ready? Somebody's going to look at that thread and need it and will be able to implement that. So if you want to be vulnerable, go ahead and put that answer in the box today. I don't think Deborah minds me sharing this, but Deborah and I were doing some emails the other day and we were talking about self care. So, even in all of this, make sure you are taking care of yourself. That is so important. Don't be afraid to unplug or to unwind or to be still, to be quiet, just to get in tune with yourself. Take a nap if you need to, if you're able to. Cuddle up with a blanket and watch some girly flick or dude flick or something that's going to make you laugh. It is okay to do those things. It is okay to do those things. Jeffrey Allen James, y'all, I want y'all to pay attention to this. He said, nope. November has been hard the last 2 years, and many of you know it's been rough for him. So make sure you are adding him to your prayer list so that he knows that the prayers will be sent his way to give him the strength that he needs during this season. We've been talking about the grief during this season as well. So even when I'm talking about preparation, I'm talking about grief, I'm talking about the hard times. Have you prepared yourself to be able to plow ahead and to move forward during this holiday season? So y'all send some love to Jeffrey Allen James there. I see you, Katrina. Katrina did not share this with us yesterday, but you know, I'm always on people's platforms. On this past Sunday, she did her initial sermon. So make sure you all can congratulate Katrina Blackwell. She did her initial sermon. She attends Pastor Derek Holmes' church. So make sure y'all congratulate her as well. Good morning, Diane Ladybug. Good morning. Good morning to my brother, Liz Pryor the Third. Good morning. I'm noticing that some of you are not getting the alerts. I think every now and then you have to go back into Facebook and say that you are wanting the alert. You have to hit that bell to get the alert. If you're on YouTube, you have to hit that bell to get that alert. But here's another thing. Don't rely on them. Just set it on your phone. We all got smartphones now. It's just out on the phone, on your phone, 725 News in Motion. That way you'll never miss it. Every now and then, though, if they do an upload with iOS or Android, you may have to tell yourself that as well. All right, y'all. Let me see what you got going on in here, and let's go ahead and do what we do. We got to get this baby started. Let's go. I see some of you asking the church, Katrina's church is Second Baptist. That's I'm calling him Doctor. That's Pastor Derek Holmes' church. And I believe it's in Chillicothe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Katrina. So we just want to celebrate her and the work that God is doing in her and through her. Again, she preached her initial sermon on this past Sunday. So we just want to congratulate her. Again, I want us to continue to show love to Jeffrey Allen James, who was vulnerable here to say he's not doing well. The last 2 Novembers have been difficult for him. So we want to lift him up, especially the fellows who are in here. Make sure you are sending him some love. Send him your contact information so he can reach out to you as well. Let's see what y'all talk. Good morning, Danielle. Good morning. In Circleville. I said Chillicothe, but it's Circleville. I'm always messing up those 2 C's. So thank you for correcting that. Okay, y'all, yesterday, before we get into the headlines, yesterday I was talking about when we were talking about food insecure, I was talking about how you can donate. Now, as of yesterday, we're now up to 12 families. Now, I gave you a list of places you can drop off food. I told you the food bank, churches, the YMCA. I told you the community centers. I want to add senior centers, excuse me. I want to add child care centers. Some physicians' offices are accepting food. Some hair salon places are accepting food. There are many locations you could drop off food. The best thing to do is to call ahead to confirm that they're a drop-off location. I know some fire departments are doing it as well. So you want to confirm the drop-off location for the food. Then there's Feeding America, where you can go and donate and hit that button and donate through Feeding America. There's other donation buttons as well that you can click on. We also shared right here, News in Motion. You can send money. We were asking for $30 to celebrate my 30th wedding anniversary. We've been doing this now for about 10 years. So every year we add $1 for food for those who are food insecure. I know it's the first time you're hearing it here on News in Motion, but we were doing it through Ministry in Motion. The reason why I say that, now, I said yesterday, and I'll say it again, myself and the team, we're willing to take care of those 12 families. We have no problem. But we want to partner with you. We want the News in Motion family to join us in doing that. Let me tell you the difference. Every $30 that comes in here, or $10 or $20 or whatever, earmarked for food insecure, will go to food. Those who are food insecure will go to those families. There is a vetting system. We partner with another nonprofit. We're not a nonprofit. We partner with a nonprofit so that they can do the vetting system. They ask several questions. We don't want to know their income. We don't want to know any of that type of information. So we never see that information. Yesterday, the 12th family that came in, because when I reported yesterday, there was 11. A 12th family came in right here from the News in Motion family. And of course, we're not going to say no. So when people know, how did we get those first 11 families? People knew we did this last year. People know I've done it before. We start getting their names, and we never want to turn anyone away. Again, we can handle it, but we don't want to do it that way. We want to open it up and partner with this News in Motion family. There are people out there, and we know before $100 for a family of 3 or 4 is not working this year. So we're going to do the gift cards for $150 per family, hoping that helps. Most of them now are just only a family of 4, but some of them are older children, so they eat more. So we just want to be mindful of that, okay? All right, y'all, is this the beginning? Steve Bannon taken into custody on contempt of Congress charges after declining to respond to a subpoena from the January 6th committee. Former Trump advisor faces a maximum of 2 years in jail. There's that. I want to see what some of you are saying. Make sure there's no questions over here before I keep going. All right. Oh, yes. The Cash App, and if you could put this in here, is the $ M as in Mary, I M as in Mary, today, TODAY. $ M as in Mary, I M as in Mary, today, TODAY. All right, y'all. All kinds of stuff is popping off as we're in the news. CBS Chicago is reporting, and I want y'all to look at this image. Just seriously for a moment, look at that image. It looks as if people believe he's looking at the jury this way. Now, they will begin deliberation today in the homicide trial, verdict expected as early as tomorrow. Judge dismisses the underage gun possession charge based on phrasing of state law. So that's happening. Y'all, an AP reports Kenosha, Wisconsin, jury will begin to deliberate. After 2 weeks of testimony in which prosecutors and defense attorneys painted a starkly different picture of his actions the night he shot 3 men on the streets of Kenosha. Again, I just want y'all to look at that picture for a moment. What do you see there? And what is that like? For me, it's very eerie. I'm like, what is this? And why is this happening? I want to see what some of you are saying here. Yeah, the judge needs to be voted out. Yeah, there's so much happening there. I just keep thinking if the person looked like me, half of these things that are happening right now would not be going on at all. So I just thought that was very interesting, what's happening with that trial. Now in Georgia, the Black pastors are saying not today. The defense failed to get Reverend Jesse Jackson removed from the courtroom yesterday. Again, that defense attorney stood up and pretty much wanted to say, I don't want you know who in my courtroom. But the judge was like, no, we ain't going to mess with Jesse. Now, judge didn't say it that way, but I'm sure that's what the judge was saying. Yes, Alex Williams, he looks like a person who has been promised that he's getting off. It's really interesting, this whole thing. So yeah, the judge was like, nah, he told that attorney, you need to sit down. He was like, no, we're not about to trample over here, not at all. So he stayed in the courtroom. Now, I wish we could be a part of this. They're calling off faith leaders. This is Pastor Jamal Bryant, Reverend Al Sharpton, and attorney Ben Crump to show up on November the 18th at 11 a.m. in the courthouse in Brunswick. So that's happening. If we have any ambassadors on the ground in that area, I would love for y'all to cover that, so we could talk about this. And if we could cover it live, we can, because I think those are very important steps that we need to pay attention to. So those things are happening. Now, the other thing that's happening, I think this is kind of strange. And I don't know why, but a judge has ruled that Vanessa Bryant, Kobe Bryant's widow, must turn over her therapy records to Los Angeles County in her lawsuit, claiming she suffered emotional distress after first responders took and shared graphic photos of the site from the 2020 helicopter crash. Well, who wouldn't be emotionally distressed by that? So that's just really strange how these rules and laws are changing for different people. Now, you want to talk about a protest? Let's talk about what NPR is reporting from Howard University and how the students and the board and the staff reached an agreement. After 33 days, that's how you protest, saying that they not only did their lives matter, their voices mattered, and their concerns mattered. And one student leader said, we came, we saw, we declared, and we won. Students have been sleeping in tents outside of Blackburn University Center since October the 12th, protesting what they said were poor housing conditions and a lack of student representation on the Board of Trustees. They now have a board position back. They have voting power, and they are going to see some changes. So even the president came out of Howard University talking about that. So things are happening, but y'all, it doesn't, it takes more than a day to protest. For them, it took 33 days. But go back to 2018, they had also protested over their sexual harassment policies and standards, and they won that as well. So that's how you protest. In other news, y'all, nationwide strike averted as Hollywood behind-the-scene workers voted to approve the new 3-year film and TV contract. They were getting ready to strike. Snapchat partners with Sonny to make its music available on the platform. That's happening. Y'all, food producers Tyson Foods raises prices as costs increase, beats the third quarter earning and revenue expectations. So they're winning on their end, and we're losing on our end because the prices have gone up. And then my other thing is, why did this take so long? Y'all, Sesame Street welcomed its first Asian American Muppet. And I'm just happy about it, but I just want to know, why did it take y'all so long to do this? It doesn't make any sense. Y'all, in COVID news, you're seeing that some states are increasing and some states are decreasing within their numbers. I live in Ohio, we're increasing. There's other states, Florida is actually decreasing. Georgia is decreasing. Utah is increasing, which I thought was very strange because they really were never high in the first place. So there's different places that you're starting to see increase. All I can say is, wear your mask, practice social distancing, and wash your hands. That's the least that we can do. And with that, because of our partnership with CDC, take a moment. Let me let you see this.
COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective at protecting you from COVID-19, especially severe illness and death. Vaccinated people are far less likely to be hospitalized or die because of COVID-19, including the Delta variant. COVID-19 has a much harder time spreading in a vaccinated population. When more people are vaccinated, we are all better protected against COVID-19. Even if you're young and healthy, it's still important to get vaccinated. Vaccines can help end this pandemic. To get the most protection, make sure you get all recommended doses of a COVID-19 vaccine. Getting vaccinated helps protect you and others from COVID-19.
Now, listen, again, yes, I'm fully vaccinated. I even have my booster, but I can't tell you what to do. All I can tell you to do is speak with your physician. If you have questions, do your research and do what's best for you. But if we really want to see a change, y'all, wear the mask. Masks are making a difference. Practice social distancing. Get back up off of me and wash your hands. All right, y'all, now in politics, I have an amazing guest that's coming on, so hold on. President Joe Biden signed into law $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill on yesterday, the final step in the passage of the large transportation funding package in U.S. history, the largest, y'all, in U.S. history. It took 10 months to get it done, but they got it done. Yes, it changed the initial amount, but it's still done. This is the historic federal investment into roads, transit, broadband, and much more during the next 5 years. The only thing I'm not enjoying about any of this is those orange barrels we're about to see, y'all. That's going to be painful, but it's going to happen. Now, reports suggest the House will vote on a $1.85 trillion, that's with a T, social spending package this week. It remains unclear whether Senators Joe Manchin, I'm so sick of him, Democrat of West Virginia, and Kristen Sinema, sick of her too, Democrat of Arizona, will support the bill in the Senate. So we still have these two who may block it, but y'all, this is for the social spending package that trickles down to their constituents. So we'll see how that's going to turn out. Y'all, Wyoming, this is happening. Y'all, that's happening Tuesday. This is happening. Y'all, Wyoming GOP kicks out Representative Liz Cheney. That's her Post's report. It's like, how you kick her out? The Wyoming Republican Party voted to quit recognizing Representative Liz Cheney as a member of the GOP. How can you tell somebody what they are? I just don't get it. This is a symbolic move that reflects ongoing frustration among conservatives who are still firmly aligned with Trump and his lies. Cheney's spokesperson said that the idea she isn't a conservative Republican is laughable. And anybody who has followed her record knows that, yeah, indeed, that's laughable. But it's just really crazy. It's really crazy what's happening here. We have a troll in here. Y'all just ignore it and keep on going. Marion says, why haven't we heard anything about voting rights? That's a great question. We're going to hear about that in a few moments. Latrice is saying, wear your mask. Yes, let's wear a mask. And it's also more than COVID-19. Viruses, including stomach viruses, are running rapid. You are right, Lori. Those things are happening as well. So, y'all, that's what's going on with Liz Cheney and the GOP. They're just going to just not recognize her. Okay, I don't get it. Again, let's focus on the constituents, but there's that. Now, y'all, I'm here for this one 100%. I'm pumped about this one. I don't even live in Texas, but Beto O'Rourke has entered the race for Texas governor. He did that on yesterday, criticizing what he describes as an ultra-conservative policies and anti-immigrant rhetoric of Governor Greg Abbott, He says it is a long shot bid to win an office Democrat occupied since 1995. That's the last time a Democrat occupied that office. In a video announcing his run and in an interview on yesterday, Beto O'Rourke, a former El Paso congressman and 2020 Democratic presidential candidate, presented his campaign as a corrective to what he said were the extremist policies of the state's Republican leadership, including Mr. Abbott, the Republican incumbent, who has overseen a sharp turn to the right in Texas. Now, he goes on in his quote and says, I want to make sure we get past the smallness and I don't know what that word is, y'all. And the conflict of Greg Abbott. He said in the telephone interview as he drove to his home in El Paso for the first campaign swing. And again, y'all, I'm here for it. There he is. Now, y'all, in other news, because people are like, I'm just tired, but it's really was time for him to go. Senator Patrick Leahy announces retirement. Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy, he's a Democrat. He's the Senate longest serving Democrat. He isn't running for re-election and will retire after 47 years. You mean to tell me somebody's been in office for 47 years? That's the problem. Anyway, but here's a fun fact that was shared on Huffington Post I want to share with all of you. They're saying aside from his lengthy career in public office, Leahy is a sole member, the only member of Congress to have been featured in several of the Batman movies. Yeah, actually, there's been 5. We looked them up. There's 5 of them. I was like, wow. So he has been featured in those movies. Kim Edmondson is saying, get Stacey Abrams on the campaign. Hey, she got to announce first, girl, but I'm with you there. All right, y'all, with all of that, I'm so excited. I'm going to bring on a wonderful faith organizer. And in our conversation, he has no problem with me describing him this way, a Jewish faith organizer, Jacob Kraus Preminger. He is a faith-based organizer who lives in Cincinnati, Ohio, but y'all, he serves Minnesota, Florida, and Texas. He has experienced the power of people from across faiths joining together to transform their communities and win lasting change. Jacob's career has lived at the intersection of faith and social justice. Over the past several years, he has organized people in Ohio, Minnesota, Florida, and Texas, and around the country on issues such as racial justice, immigrant justice, voting rights, and community safety. Now, as I bring him on, and I want y'all to hear this, it's November, we just voted, but it's not too soon to start talking about some of the issues that we need to talk about. And thinking about, here's the time. Christmas is different. Holidays are different. Whatever faith holiday you celebrate, it's different this year. There's a lot of difference. So why not gift in the honor or in the memory of someone's name to a campaign? We'll talk about that in a few moments as well. Hey, Jacob, what's up?
Good morning. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. So I just said a little bit about you. We met with the with an organizing platform in Ohio, and we connected. We talked about Bible studies. We talked about things we could do to put out there of what's going on so that we can help you understand everything that's happening on every spectrum. This infrastructure bill is out now. There's that social platform. What was it? $1.85 trillion. Even that. These are times we need to contact our representatives and say, pass this bill. So welcome, Jacob. I'm so glad you're here. As questions come through from the chat, I'll post them up here on the screen. But we're just going to jump in. Is that okay?
That sounds great. Yeah.
I've been talking about food insecurity. That's really our platform. If you look at it, we're not a nonprofit, but that's like the social enterprise of News in Motion. And with that, with going into the holiday season, there's so much going on. But I think people want to separate those who are food insecure from voting and representatives and economics and housing and healthcare and all of that. Can you talk about that for us? I know I just gave you this whole big ball, but I know you can handle it. I know you can handle it.
Sure. Yeah, well, first of all, it's really great to be here. So wonderful to watch the sunrise with all of you. It's been a while since I've been awake this early, but I'm really glad to be here. When you asked the question, it made me think about some of my first experiences, sort of being there serving folks who are experiencing food insecurity. When I was in 6th grade, I went with my Sunday school class to one of the soup kitchens here in Cincinnati, and they showed us how to serve the food and keep everything safe and all that. But they also talked to us a little bit and helped us hear a little bit from folks who were coming through. And a real big myth was sort of busted for me in that. I walked in thinking like, folks who are coming through can't afford anything. They might not have homes. They might not have jobs. They might not have any of that stuff. But I learned that I was wrong, and that often folks who are experiencing food insecurity, they're experiencing it because they're being forced to make choices they shouldn't have to make between, it's not always, I don't have enough money for anything. It's, I have enough money for maybe 3 things, but what I really need is a home, healthcare, education for my kids, and food. And if I can only choose 3, maybe I'm going to choose home, healthcare, education. I'm not going to choose food. And so the question then becomes, what is it that we can do to expand the number of choices that people have? Because those choices are based on what their job is, what their wealth is, how much does their housing cost, how much does their healthcare cost? And all of those things, those come from government policy. It's our governments that are deciding, it's okay that rents can go up and up and up. It's okay that healthcare costs can go up and up and up. It's okay that our schools can get less and less money. It's okay that our wages can be stagnant over decades. And so we talk about why it's important not just to bring ourselves into the voting booth, but to bring our friends and our neighbors and all those folks. It has direct impacts on this issue of food insecurity. And that if we can actually have a people's movement for fair wages, for good jobs, for affordable healthcare, for housing justice, that's also going to create more food security in our communities and around the country.
I could not get back on. I was like, I need to get back on. It's like, see, this is just live. Tell this what happens. This is what happens.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting that out there, because I think so often we want to put food insecurity in its own bucket, and we want to put voting in its own bucket. We want to separate it when it's really the system that we're working through on a regular basis. So why, and you and I talked about this, and everyone, don't think I'm being insensitive. Jacob and I've had these conversations before. When I first met him, and y'all know me by now, I just ask questions. I'm like, wait a minute, you're Jewish and you're a faith organizer. I said, tell me how that comes together. And he let me know that there's this, what was it like? It's just false that Jewish people are not organizers. I want you to share that with the viewers. Please jump in and share that.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the big reasons why I'm an organizer is because so many of the people at my back who I learned from, who I'm inspired by, are, not just Jewish organizers of the past 10, 15, 50 years, but of the past 5,000 years. I grew up on the story of Moses saying to Pharaoh, we're not going to serve you anymore. We're not going to put our faith in Pharaoh. We're going to put our faith in God and in each other. And we're going to walk out from a place of narrowness to a place of expansiveness. And so part of it is like, it's in the story, but also it's in the experience. Especially when I got into college and started to learn more about organizing, learned about the history of Jewish folks in the labor movement and the civil rights movement. And when I look around today, there's, I think, a couple reasons why. And the flip side of the question is, why is it in my interest as a white Jewish man and the interest of the people that I share and build community with to be involved in organizing, to be involved in social justice? I think there's a couple of big reasons. One is that the community that I'm a part of is much more racial and economic diversity than often it looks like, than even it looked like to me growing up. So when we talk about, racial justice as a Jewish issue, it's not just because our text says that God created everyone in God's image, and so we should be treating folks equally. It's because racial justice is a family issue inside of our Jewish community. It's about what does it mean for Jews of color to be able to move through the world in justice and dignity, and move through our synagogues in justice and dignity. And I think the other big piece of this is that so many communities that can be divided, conquered, marginalized for the benefit of those who are really holding power in this country, have to ask ourselves the question of, like, who do we want to stand in power with to build communities, states, countries where all of us can actually thrive? And my experience as an organizer has been building that type of power with BIPOC communities, with immigrant communities, with Native communities, with working people. It has made my life better, not just not just in a spiritual sense, but in a real material sense. When I'm facing an issue, I know who to go to and who I'm going to be in power with, and that I know that this country was built by people who look like me, but it was not built by people who pray like me, and that we can actually make a society where all of us can thrive if we understand that there are more people who are marginalized by the powers that be than people who are benefiting from the powers that be. And so, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm going to jump. Don't lose that thought. But what you just said something so powerful. You actually said a couple of things. One, who do we want to align with the power? Where's the power to be, and what table do we want to go to?
Yeah.
But the other thing is, if we only knew the collective power, including those who are oppressed and marginalized, if we would come together, we wouldn't have some of these systems in place, because we would have torn them apart by now. So how then do we get to the connection of that voting rights issue to get that passed? What can we do as boots on the ground, if you will, as constituents to say, okay, no, we're going to make this change, and we want to educate people. We want to intentionally educate people on these areas so that we can come together. Can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Yeah, totally. I think there are a few different levels to voting rights. And so what I would start with is, like, there's the grassroots people to people level. It is going to take a long time to make sure that the power is aligned around everyone being able to vote and make it as easy as possible. Now, in some states where you all might be living, you might already have amazing things like automatic voter registration or the ability to register on the same day of voting. But it's really going to be everyday people who are going to protect that sacred right. So it often starts with, who are the 10 people in your life you want to talk to over the next 2 months about voting rights, and make sure that they're showing up to vote, that they're contacting their legislators about voting rights. And then we kind of move up the chain. So your states are going to be the ones who are going to decide most of your voting policy. And so depending on where you live, you're going to want to like look at those laws. And then, the tippy top, the hardest place to move things, but the most powerful place to move things is our federal government. And over the past several months, there's been federal voting rights law that's been negotiated by Democrats in Congress. Joe Manchin is on board with it. Kristen Sinema is on board with it. We just have this filibuster in the way. And so I also believe right now there needs to be a lot of pressure put on our president, on the leaders of the Senate, to say, we're not going to let this filibuster rule get in the way of something that is widely popular, no matter what your party is, and also that's essential to everyday people having power in this country. Because we know that between redistricting and voter suppression, the folks who don't want everyday people to have a voice at the ballot, they are using every tool in their toolbox. Honestly, the folks who might want everyday people to have a voice at the ballot, we have not used all of our tools yet. And we need to.
What are some of those tools?
Well, I think our federal leaders need to get rid of the filibuster. Yeah, Kenneth Stanley, I see you saying it. That's the tool I'm thinking about. And I think the other big tool is building our networks of relationships. I know people who don't think about voting until a week or two before the election, but really care about these issues. What if I'm talking to them 3 months before the election, so we can get clear on what the big issues are for them, and then they can get clear on who the 10 people are they can talk to? Because if they're not thinking about it till a week before, they probably got friends who aren't thinking about the election till the day before, or God forbid, the day after. So I think that's the other big place. I don't think that it's possible to totally out-organize all of the voter suppression. We need the folks that we've put in office to look out for us, to actually look out for us, and the people who are going to make sure that they take action, and the people who are going to make sure that voters come out in record numbers next fall. It's you, Gail, it's me, it's everyone watching this. It's all of the relationships that we're going to build.
Yeah. I'm looking at the time, y'all. I got to ask Jacob a couple more questions. If you can hang with me, great. If not, then check the replay, but I hope you can hang with us a little bit longer. What are some of the, what are some of the biggest opportunities and challenges you see in the upcoming 2022 elections? Because I'm seeing a whole lot of them. But can you speak to that? Because again, everyone who's tuning in, we need to talk about this now, not the week before election, because we need to strategize now. So can you speak to that real quick, please?
Absolutely. And there are two sides of the same coin, actually. I think the biggest opportunity is togetherness. So, in 2020, voters came out in record numbers because people worked together. They said, we share a big vision for what this country could look like. And they said, we're going to work together to make sure that happens. And maybe all the little details we're not 100% aligned on, but we'll get there. And the only way to get there is by working together. So I think there's an opportunity for voters to come out in record numbers. A lot of congressional races that are really important, governor races, and I already talked about Beto earlier today. There will probably be local races. The flip side of that coin, the challenge, is that folks who do not want us to be together, they see how powerful it is, and they are already trying to find ways to divide. They are already using, what some folks call dog whistle politics, to say to a certain group of people, hey, those folks that you're working with, they're trying to tell them lies about how we don't actually all want the same thing. They're trying to tell them that, you see it a lot in school boards right now around racial justice education in schools. That's, I think, one of the biggest places where we see dog whistle politics at play right now. They are trying to divide and conquer. And so I think the way to confront that challenge is to be really clear about when folks are saying things and that their intention is to divide. And for us to be really clear about why they're doing that. They're doing that because they're afraid of our power. And it means that we have to stare that in the face and say, I see through your lies. We're actually going to do better if we're all together. And so I'm going to work doubly hard in the face of your lies for us to win power together.
Yes. For those of you who do not know the definition of dog whistle power, can you speak to that, Jacob?
Yeah. So think of it comes from the dog whistle. So if you blow a dog whistle, it's so high pitched that humans can't really hear it, but the dog can hear it. The idea behind a dog whistle is that it's coded language, and particularly around race, that most people don't really get what it means. But if you're a white supremacist, or if you can be sort of pulled in by white supremacy, you know what it means. So I think the most recent example, Aaron Rodgers a couple of weeks ago talked about the woke mob. That's like so many dog whistles wrapped up in one. That's racialized. It doesn't sound like racialized language on the face of it, but it is. And he's basically saying to people when he says woke mob, he's talking about people of color. And he's able to say it without saying it. And that is a tool used to divide people and be able to say, honestly, really racist stuff. But then if someone turns around and says, hey, I think what you just said was racist, you're like, oh, no, I didn't say it. That's not what I meant. You didn't hear me right. Meanwhile, wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the white nationalists over there.
And listen, y'all, if you didn't hear anything else in this whole entire broadcast, make sure you share this clip right here of what Jacob just said so that people understand. That's why I asked him to define it, because some people hear the language and like, I don't really know what that means. And you're just saying, yes, he just broke it down for all of us. I have another question. I know we were out of time, but y'all hold on. I got another question. What are other ways people can get together and create change outside of the elections? Because I think people think it's only at that hype moment. They look at it as this is my hype time or my hype season, but we need to be hyped all the time, and maybe not even hyped, but educated to do this. So what are some ways people can get together and create change outside of the elections?
Sure. So my big, it's my back pocket thing here is that you got to remember that the biggest power you have is with you and your people. Whoever those people are, the folks in your neighborhoods, the folks in your workplace, the folks in your churches, your mosques, your synagogues, whoever it is. And so what you can be doing, what we can all be doing is looking for where is power moving and how can I build people power to be a part of that? So sometimes it's going to be your city council. Sometimes it's going to be your legislature. Sometimes it's going to be your prosecutor's office or your judges. But sometimes it might be your workplace. It might be the big, some of the biggest corporations in your city or town. Sometimes it might be, the whoever's going to get these big government contracts or these infrastructure, projects. How do we make sure that they're being just and doing right by the communities that they're helping to build up? Power is moving all around us. And I think you all we all know and see it on a day-to-day basis. And wherever power is moving, we can build people power to make sure it moves in the right direction.
I totally agree with that. And speaking of that, now you didn't open up another door. I have to go there too. Y'all, the government contracts are coming forth. And I've been looking at this. Now I've been trying to figure out how can News in Motion be a part of this, and that is to educate you all on how to complete these contracts because they have to be completed a certain way. At the same time, as organizers, we can also raise our voices to make sure the little person, as they seem as a little person, we know you're not little, but the little people, again, that's their terminology. I'm just using it because I don't believe any of us are little, have an opportunity for these contracts as well. So Jacob, what can you speak to? I know we only have a short time, maybe 60 seconds, but what can you speak to about that? How can we get organized to make sure that these contracts are going out to the marginalized communities, to people who have the education or the skill or the brain power, the brilliance, whatever, to be able to grab some of these contracts?
It's a good question. It's a little bit outside what I know day to day, but I would say the biggest thing is just keep a really close eye on this process as it unfolds, and hold people accountable to the promises they've been making. You know, the president and everyone has been working on this infrastructure bill has been making promises that this is going to be an opportunity to build communities, to create good union jobs. I'm really hopeful for that. And sometimes we make promises and we need to be held accountable on our promises. That's absolutely true for our politicians. And so I think it's keeping a close eye on that process and knowing that just because someone says something is going to happen or because it's in the bill, it's going to happen, it's not going to actually happen without all of us being really vigilant and saying, you know, maybe I've never gone for a government contract before, but I'm going to go for it because I was promised I'm going to have an opportunity to help build up my community. And so I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm going to go for it.
Right. And I think that's so important, y'all. And Jacob touched on something that's extremely important. And that is know the language, which means you may have to read the bill. And I've shared with you previously on how to skim bills to pull out what's important and look at keywords. That's another place right there, y'all, to do that. And if we need to do a workshop around it, then we need to do a workshop around it. But know the language, know the information that's been shared. Jacob, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Y'all, I just want to read this. Jacob sent this to me. He said, the big theme I keep thinking might make sense is how I've seen people getting together from multiracial, multi-faith, multi-place, and economically diverse backgrounds to win real changes, and how those who build their power by sowing division will remain a threat through 2022 unless we remain clear about where our strength comes from and why they are trying to divide and conquer. That right there is absolutely powerful. I want to see what Cherie's saying before I give the inspirational message. She says, that's the biggest issue, Gail. How do grassroots organizations build capacity to even go after the government contracts, especially nonprofit organizations? Cherie, let's connect. I know we're going into Thanksgiving, but let's connect the week after Thanksgiving, the two of us, and talk through that. And if anybody else on here wanted to be a part of that conversation, we can easily put together a Zoom piece. Jacob, if you want to join us, we would love for you to join us as well. But y'all, we have to start somewhere. So again, thank you, Jacob, for hanging out with us today. This was so helpful, so beneficial. I'm so glad I met you over a year ago. We worked together, y'all, as I was a contractor doing some work with organizing, met this young man, and it's been like, hey, let's hang out. I'm learning a lot from you. So thank you.
And thank you for having me this morning. It's been really great.
Absolutely. You'll just have to come back.
That's right.
All right. See you later. Let me give y'all the inspirational message, everyone. Y'all, the inspirational message that I want to share today is that live how you would like to be treated. I want all of us to live how you would like to be treated. I was watching a reel yesterday. I don't know how I get caught up in these reels on Instagram and on Facebook. I was watching a reel yesterday, and they were throwing these red cups. It's on my wall. This guy and this girl were throwing red cups, and whoever put the red cup in, they win. And so the young lady got the cups to stack. The guy talks about he wants to get 1 million followers by February. And then he just takes his first cup and he throws it and it lands, it goes in. And their shock on their face, their excitement, their smile, their laughter. Then he breaks out into a dance. And he was just like all hyped. And I sat back and I watched that reel, I don't know how many times, laughing. But I was like, wow, what lesson is in this lesson? And that is he lived. When I saw that reel, he lives to be exciting and to speak life and to encourage other people. Then I looked at his t-shirt I don't know why. He says it says something like my faith matters. And I thought, oh wow, he just took it to another level. Y'all, you have to have faith in yourself to do whatever it is that God has gifted you to do in this season. Y'all, live your life like you would want other people to treat you. That is so important. I know it's easy to go day by day and deal with the situations and things that are going on in your life. But beyond all of that, live your life like you want other people to treat you. If you want to complain about other people, you're living your life that you want people to complain about you. If you want to be negative and talk about other people, you are living your life like you want other people to be negative and living their life that way. You want to live. So, for example, I love joy. I love promoting people. I love seeing people soar. I love educating people on politics. I love giving the news. I do. The research may take me out every now and then, but the bottom line, I know I'm living my life on purpose these days. I'm living my life on purpose. I look back and ask myself, why didn't I live that way 20, 30 years ago? I'm 56 now. I don't have that answer. But now when I'm around the millennials and my daughter and her friends, my son and his friends, and the millennials and interns that we work with, I'm always speaking life, encouraging them. I'm like, okay, let's look at the other side of this. Right now you're down and you're frustrated and you're angry, but let's look at the other side of this. Let's look at this as, what problem can you solve? What's the pain point? How can you live through this? How can you make your day better? And I've had people say, well, you know, my day is 11 o'clock at night. Yes, I talk to people late at night when they're calling me up. I'm always trying to make myself available. And I said, okay, but what can you do in the next 60 minutes to turn your day around? And getting them to think differently. So y'all live life how you would want to be treated. That's how we're going to turn things around here. I see some of you in here. Kenny says our strength comes from us staying together. Pastor Alex said great information. Jacob, I see you're still in the green room. Thanks for hanging out. Don't go anywhere because I'll talk to you afterwards. Kenny said that reel was hilarious, but it was so inspirational. It was. Latrice is talking about the inspirational message. Live how you would want to be treated. Y'all, that's all I have. I know we went over today. Sometimes it's just like that. Jacob gave us some amazing, powerful information today. Pray for me, y'all. My millennial team is breaking up because they're all getting promoted and they're doing different things. But I want them to rise. I want them to soar. I want them to do what they could do. But that's okay, because I'm getting ready to call Isaiah Jones. I'm gonna need to put him to work. But y'all pray for me. We're going into the new year with a different looking team. But y'all, we can conquer this. We can do it. They've been so gracious to me and with me over the past, since June 22nd, 2020. And they're not completely gone, but things are changing because they have different demands on their work. So y'all pray for me, but I'm so excited for every last single one of them. All right, y'all know what I say. Stay well, everyone. And remember, make some moves.